There are a massive amount of games that get released on a weekly basis onto Xbox, but one area that I keep seeing being asked about pretty regularly here on the channel is the free-to-play space. There is an insane amount of free-to-play games which are now available on Xbox, but today I wanted to highlight the 15 best completely free games that you can play right now on your Xbox consoles in 2026. With that, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's just dive right into it. One of the largest free-to-play games right now is of course Marvel Rivals, and this game really doesn't need any introduction. As you know, it is a hero shooter in the style of Overwatch, but the twist is that you're playing as iconic Marvel characters. Each hero of course brings their own unique abilities, and the tag team system adds another layer of strategy, really letting you combine powers for some devastating combos. The matches are actually pretty chaotic in the best way, with a lot of modes ranging from all-out brawls to capture the point showdowns. Alongside that, the seasonal updates keep things fresh as well, with a lot of new maps, characters, and events constantly dropping seemingly out of nowhere. Whether you're a comic book fan or just looking for a polished shooter, this one really does deliver. I had such a good time with it that I went out of my own way to grab the full 1000 gamer score. I just really can't bring myself to go back and clean up the DLC, as I'm way too competitive with this one. When you load up Zenless Zone Zero, it just feels incredibly cool, and not in a forced way either. It's just so effortlessly stylish. The menu, the music, the character animations, it all has a sort of slick, confident energy to it. I know the combat in this one is the real big hook for this free-to-play game, and it's a real highlight as it's surprisingly satisfying whether you're casually tapping buttons or actually learning how the team swaps and combos flow together. Ultimately, it has been said to me that the more you play it, the more it rewards you. I haven't actually sunk a ridiculous amount of time into it myself, but I do constantly see people talking about logging in daily, and that says something about its replayability value. It's one of those games that is easy to dip into and hard to drop, and it was great seeing it finally land onto our Xbox consoles last year. It's kind of crazy to think how long Warframe has actually been around now, because it honestly feels like it's still evolving. At its core, you're basically a hyper-agile space ninja, sprinting along walls, sliding through corridors, and just carving through enemies at ridiculous speed. What started as a sort of fairly contained experience from what I remember with its corridor-style missions, has now grown into more sprawling open zones, with a lot of deep story expansions and even full ship-to-ship combats. The movement alone does set this one apart from most of its contemporaries, and once it clicks, nothing else really feels like it on the Xbox marketplace. I won't lie though, Warframe doesn't exactly hold your hand. The early hours can certainly be a little bit overwhelming and certainly confusing, but if you do stick with it, you'll uncover one of the deepest, most content-packed free-to-play experiences on the market, and whether you're playing solo or jumping in with friends, it's a bloody good time. If you've been craving that large-scale, all-out warfare feeling, then Delta Force absolutely delivers that entire insanity. The game drops 128 players onto sprawling maps packed with vehicles, long sightlines, and constant chaos. It definitely scratches that Battlefield itch, and is definitely getting a lot better over time. One aspect that I really won't sugarcoat for you though are the menus and the sort of gacha style extras. They certainly are my favourite. I will say it doesn't matter too much when you're in a game and it starts, as you don't actually have to purchase anything to have fun in this one. What really hooked me though was the flow of the combat, as one minute you'll be lining up a long range sniper shot over open terrain, and the next you're going to be breaching a building with your squad while explosions shake everything around you. Between the large scale of this one, the great gunplay, and the free to play model, I can easily see this becoming a long-term staple onto Xbox, and the player counts over on Steam are really reflecting that. I genuinely didn't expect the finals to hook me in the way that it did, but here we are. It's easily one of my favourite free-to-play shooters on all of Xbox, and I'm ashamed to say that I haven't actually had a chance to dive into the most recent season, and that's due to how many reviews I have on the cards which I'm currently going through at the moment. The big selling point of this game though is ultimately going to be that destruction, as literally everything falls apart, and it's now insanely dynamic after the team over at Embark made some huge changes to it. Entire buildings can be leveled mid-match, floors give away beneath you, and defensive setups can vanish in utter seconds. What really makes it special though is how creative you can be. You can obviously win gunfights for sure, but you can also collapse the room for your enemies hiding in it, flank through a blown up wall, and turn the map into complete chaos in the best way possible. On both the Xbox Series consoles, it runs impressively smooth at about 60 frames per second, and I would probably highlight this game over most on this list today. There's something incredibly timeless about climbing into a giant mech, and Mecha Break completely understands that appeal. These aren't slow, lumbering mechs either, like we see in the Mech Warrior franchise. Instead, they're going to be agile, high-powered weapons tearing across huge battlefields, with missiles flying and beams cutting through the air at every single moment. On Xbox especially, the controls feel surprisingly responsive, so you're going to be able to boost, dodge, and fire without that heavy, clunky feeling like some mech games feel. What really does sell it though is ultimately the customization. You're not just picking a loadout, you're actually going to be shaping your machine and how you want to play and tinker it around your own playstyle. You can go sort of full on armored tank and soak up damage, or you can sort of build a nimble high speed striker that dances around opponents and gets away as quickly as possible. Every match ends up feeling like your own over the top anime showdown, and honestly that rush of power just doesn't get old these days. You may remember, but I mentioned eFootball in my last free-to-play roundup video, but over the past few months I've actually spent a lot more time within UFL, and honestly I'm enjoying this one way more. To me it feels cleaner and way more responsive than both eFootball and even EA Sports FC26, which is kind of wild considering one of those is a full price release. What stands out the most though is going to be the gameplay flow to you, as sort of passing feels really snappy, shooting has a lot of weight behind it, and matches don't feel overly scripted. Yes, I'm looking at you, FIFA. There's a stronger sense that if you mess up, it is on you, not some hidden animation deciding the outcome. And I kind of appreciate as well how straightforward all of this is, as it can get competitive without being overwhelming. The only downside is that if you do get your credit card out, you can ultimately get a better squad, but the matchmaking systems do seem decent from what I've played so far, as you seem to be put within similar team rating brackets. For a free-to-play football game, UFL feels surprisingly good, and that's why I'm recommending it in this video. I bet many of you still forgot that Halo Infinite is free to play. Well, on the multiplayer side of course, and I'm still shocked that so many of you still write this one off, as it's pretty great in 2026. Of course at launch the content was lacking, and that's why many jumped ship, but this is still a great game. The team over at Halo Studios sunk a lot of time into this one, and they brought a wealth of updates over the last 5 years, including the full return of Forge, more maps, a ton of new weapons and vehicles, and so much more. I mean, even if you want to dive into the Battle Pass elements, all of them still exist as there's no timer, and I love that they implemented that idea at launch. Ranked queues can sometimes have a little bit of a weight to them, but nothing over that 5-minute mark, and casual play is almost pretty instant. I still love big team battle, and it's such a shame the team are moving away from this game rather soon. There's a real good word that sums up Throne and Liberty, and that is massive. This MMO doesn't just look gorgeous on Xbox, it feels like it was built for consoles entirely. It's got such clean menus, intuitive controls, and smooth performance, and it makes it easy to just get lost in the world and spend so many hours into it. One moment you'll be grinding your quest, and the next you're going to be pulled into a huge PvP siege, or just taking on a colossal world boss alongside dozens of other players. The scale of this one is utterly breathtaking compared to a lot of free-play games out there. The dynamic weather system is also great and makes battles feel unpredictable and alive, and honestly those storms rolling in can really flip a fight here and there. I've sunk countless hours into this one myself, and it's the kind of game that rewards every minute, and if you're after an MMO with true scale, then this is the one for you. Genshin Impact has quickly established itself as one of the best free-to-play games you can play right now on Xbox. You got to picture it as a massive open world exploration game like Breath of the Wild, but then you're adding in stylish anime-inspired combat, a party system with loads of unique characters, and elements that interact with each other in some very clever ways. The result in this instance is a game that feels both relaxing and epic at the very same time. It does certainly have its gacha mechanics, and if you do want specific characters, that can certainly tempt your wallet, but the good news is that you don't actually need to spend a dime if you just want to have an amazing time with this one. You can just explore the world, uncover secrets, and build your core team, and that's more than enough to keep you hooked for multiple hundreds of hours. It's stunning, satisfying, and completely free, and it's definitely a must-try for RPG fans. Keeping on that same theme though, there are games that you're going to boot up for adrenaline, and then there's Palia. This is the sort of game that has you going, I'll play for just 20 minutes, and somehow it eats up your entire evening, and next thing you know it's 3 AM in the morning. It's not a competitive game, it's not stressful, it's just a pure cozy experience. On Xbox it's the perfect wind down experience, especially in the evening. You'll be doing everything from farming crops, fishing by a quiet lake, decorating your home, and chatting with NPCs, and that's all while slowly building a life at your very own pace. There's something incredibly satisfying about upgrading your house piece by piece, and then turning your little plot into something that feels personal. After grinding shooters or intense RPGs, this can feel like a breath of fresh air. It's very calm, wholesome, and it's free, and sometimes that's exactly what you need in 2026. In my previous videos here on the channel, I've completely neglected Overwatch 2, and that was simply due to it being a horrid state, and it was just not really that welcomed by the community. However, that has all changed over the past few days, and this script has been flipped completely. The game is now just called Overwatch, and Blizzard have now absolutely poured their hearts and soul into a massive update and overhaul that did go live a couple days back. I mean, it was so successful that they managed to surpass 100,000 concurrent players over on Steam for the first time since the game launched. Many of you probably know what Overwatch is by now, but it's the 5v5 hero shooter that has a wealth of characters to choose from as you take part in online PvP battles. I have personally yet to dive into the new update, but with all the positive sentiment, it seems totally worth diving into if you do get a chance. Riot Games entered the fighting genre with 2xKO, bringing their popular League of Legends universe to the brawler atmosphere. The 2v2 fighter is solely built around teamwork and synergy, as you'll be picking up 2 champions and then facing off in fast-paced battles that reward your quick reflexes and your strategy. The combat system in this one is actually surprisingly deep yet very approachable, with loads of combos, special moves and character abilities, and I kind of did expect that for a fighter game, but it's great to see it really implemented here. If you're a fighting game veteran or a beginner, this one looks really great, and because it's free to play, there's no excuse not to give it a shot if it piques your interest. I mean, each champion also comes with their own unique abilities inspired by that League of Legends universe, meaning fans of that franchise will feel right at home here. I know there have been a few letdowns as they did lay off staff due to player numbers not being where they expected, but it's still a solid game nonetheless. EA's long-awaited Skate reboot finally launched as a free-to-play game, and it actually landed on the Xbox last year to a fair amount of positivity. As you may know, EA has been playtesting this game for quite a long time, and the intent with the early access period, which is still in by the way, is to keep receiving feedback while constantly providing fresh challenges, cosmetics, music, and even world updates. Those who are actually familiar with the old Skate games will feel right at home with this one, but do keep in mind that this reboot is a multiplayer-focused title with a lot of live service elements, meaning microtransactions are involved, and I'm certainly not impressed with them. I still enjoy the game for what it is, and the updates have been pretty decent. I just wish the team rolled them out a little bit quicker and didn't really shoehorn us down that microtransaction route. Still, it's a pretty decent game, especially if you just want to dive into some awesome jumps in a matter of minutes. This one's certainly a no-brainer. Enlisted is another FPS that I've spent way too much time with lately, and it's surprising considering how many wrote it off at first glance. However, this is a solid FPS with a very unique take to the genre, where you do take control of a squad of soldiers and not just one. Also, with the tank and plane models of War Thunder, it gives the game an easy to play, hard to master vibe, and it can certainly be daunting to tackle, but once you overcome it, it's an absolute time sink. Enlisted has definitely scratched my own sort of Battlefield itch that I've been craving for so long and hasn't been delivered in a long time. If you enjoy and keep up with the usual FPS genre, Enlisted will be an easy one to get into. The main critique I do have the game is the FOMO when it comes to the event and premium squads, but the devs have mentioned they're addressing this in the near future. This is a fantastic World War II shooter though, and it's good to have one to dive into if you have a spare half an hour or so. As you may be aware, there are plenty more free-to-play games which I haven't included in today's video, such as Fortnite, Rocket League, and even Warzone, but to be honest, you already know those and I didn't want to repeat them. However, I would be curious to know, are there any sort of obscure or lesser known free-to-play games that people need to be aware of? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to smash that like button if you found this video helpful and you enjoyed it, and do subscribe for more Xbox content on a daily basis. If you're still here and you want to check out some more amazing Xbox content, check out the video on screen now, as I just covered the huge sale going on in the Xbox store, and there's a few games here you want to pick up as it ends in less than 24 hours.